calling the regular planning commission meeting of April 3rd, 2025, 7 o'clock p.m. here in Brookfield Town Hall, room 133. Roll call for today. Myself, the chair, I'm present. Michael Duvall is the vice chair, he's not here with us this evening. Linda Taylor is the secretary, she is here. John Mara is a regular member, is absent. Mark Lowengart, a regular member, is present. Elaine Domenio is alternate, is not with us this evening, but we do have Eric Myers, the other alternate, who would be a voting member or anything that may pop up as a voting matter. All good? All clear?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on to the next item. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which would be March 6th. I hope you have had a chance to review these minutes. Please let me know if there are any comments, edits, or other observations you'd like to bring up. And so, Eric, you can vote on this.
I can make a motion.
You can also make a motion.
I'm learning.
As you were present for that meeting as well. Okay.
I skimmed them earlier when we got them, and I would make a motion that we approve and adopt the minutes of the March 6th, 2025 meeting.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Okay. Ayes?
Aye.
4 ayes. Very good. Okay. On to the next. We do not have any new business this evening. We will go on to the old business, and of course the big part of the old business is the plan of conservation and development. And so what I want to, a lot of this, you folks are all part of the POCD core committee, have been part of those meetings, so I know you're pretty much up to speed. One thing that we're looking at is the calendar, and so for planning, I think we counted it 7 more meetings we have as a planning commission. The countdown is on. May, June,
Yeah.
July, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and only 6 before the election day. In November, the election day is that Tuesday, and then we have a regular planning meeting on the Thursday immediately after that, and that would be our last meeting as a planning commission. And then in December would be when the 2 boards merge. Okay. Before now and then, however, we want to make sure we get this plan of conservation and development complete. That's our big goal. So in looking at the calendar, we've got a few things that are going on. The next one on the calendar is on the 22nd, in which is our workshop. So I think all of you have said that you'll be able to make that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great, fantastic. And so there are some posters that are out there. I know, I believe there's, I understand there's, they're getting some signs together to get those out around town, so people are aware of the date and the time. And I want to emphasize it is, and you guys know this, but it's a public workshop, it's not a public hearing. And the workshop, of course, is intended to be a little more interactive. It's in the cafeteria, not the auditorium, so there'll be a presentation and then tables, and people can go around, and there'll be, to promote some discussion on the various aspects of the chapter, right? You guys have any questions on, I guess, the format and the process and all that? I think we covered all this at the...
So will people be asking us direct questions, or will we just be sort of in the crowd listening in?
They could ask us questions,
Okay.
yeah. And I think if you don't know, I mean, there should be somebody around who can answer that.
Okay.
That's kind of why I was asking about
Yeah.
the latest,
Yeah.
copy, latest versions of
Mhm.
the various chapters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, it's fine. I was just curious.
And the consultant will have additional members of their group to assist this process as well. And I think we have got some town folks that are coming as well, so, somewhere within the room, there should be someone that can, speak to, questions that may
Most
pop
any
up.
issue.
Yeah, yeah. I think you guys have already, you guys, at least to a certain degree, familiar with the chapters and some of the content. You may know more of one or than others or such, but somebody can answer these things for sure. Okay.
Could I ask one quick question? Have we thought about or planned to reach out to like the Brookfield patch or any?
It's already been in there. It's already in there.
Oh, really? Good, because I didn't notice it yet. I
It's on
scanned through it. That's good.
Is it on there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, the word, I think word is getting out from what I can tell. Actually, I gotta follow up on this. I believe I'll be speaking to the Board of Selectmen just to give them an update and also promote to let the folks know that of the workshop on the 22nd.
well, the spotlight just came out, was it in the spotlight, this just
I
came out?
think it was supposed to
It was
be.
supposed to be, I don't know.
So yeah, we're trying, I think, yeah, I'm hopeful and I think we'll have a pretty good turnout. So what we have, maybe 30 people at the first one, something like that. But after that, we had 674 people respond to our survey. So there's at least, close to 700 people who know a little bit about what we're doing. So I guess the turnout will probably be somewhere between 30 and 674 is my guess. So somewhere in between. I'm hopeful, the cafeteria can hold whatever number that may be. We're working out through some of the logistics that may be involved with that. The other thing is, I think you raised the question, I think earlier, the chapters, all the chapters, the draft, I emphasize and underline in bold, draft chapters are in the brookfieldpocd.com website. They are there now under documents. We encourage all people to take a look at them. And they can then submit feedback. They don't have to wait for the workshop or any other later date. They can submit their feedback now at their own timing. They can read, there's quite a bit of information in there. So we have chapters already in there on demographics, land use and zoning, housing, economic development is in there, transportation is in there, facilities is in there, and we have infrastructure in there. The only one that we have left is should be posting and publishing sustainability sometime next week. So that's the last one.
Wasn't there supposed to be something like about health and stuff like that?
I think we were trying to identify where to categorize that, and I thought we said infrastructure.
I think sustainability too, we're gonna put health in, like pieces of it.
Perhaps some aspects of that, yeah. So, yeah, maybe, that's the other thing is, as we're looking at these, I've been trying to look at them and just make sure that nothing's slipping through the cracks, that we have captured all those areas that we kind of identified earlier in the process. So, yeah, I don't know if we could
I haven't seen it come up anywhere, that's why.
Yeah, so if
Mm-hmm.
it's something that we need to regroup on, and write something further. we
Well,
can
I
do
mean, it's
that.
something we need to address,
Yeah.
certainly with, I know, ambulances and whatever we
Mhm.
need going forward.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I agree, yeah.
Mark, you raised quite, I thought there were some points that I had overlooked as far as broadband and, cell phone service and things like that, that weren't in the first version
Mhm.
of infrastructure, but I presume, they've done some addressing of that, and it's on the version that's
Yeah,
on the POCD website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's up on the site now.
yeah, all of those are up there. But again, I try to emphasize, these are still drafts, and and that's why we go through the process of the workshop, and we get more feedback. We'll have, further down the line, we'll be having a public hearing on this as we're more near completion as well, so, yeah, it's still is a work in progress, literally. So yes, the chapters, we encourage all members of Brookfield to take a look at that site and read the chapters. There's some reading in there, some of it's actually quite interesting, I think, even if
For
you're,
a new resident. it's
just interesting
fascinating.
to take a look at it, just, but, you've
Okay.
got,
This, yeah, it is there. And it's-
oh, it is there, okay, great.
With the,
With this, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, so we have that. So, the other thing is working on the timeline. If everything works well, we are hoping that this will be done, reviewed. So we'll have the workshop on the 22nd. We have then our next POCD core committee meeting on the 15th of May. The goal there is to try to incorporate all the feedback we get from the workshop and make any further updates to the drafts. And then from that point, review it again and see if we are then in a position to submit it to the Board of Selectmen. So, and then at that point, we have to then consider when we might set a time for a public hearing. And that, we will probably want to push and do that as early as we can, especially considering, as we've said, I think, we've got 7 more meetings as a planning commission. So, and after that process, it becomes more of a planning committee, regular planning committee objective to push this through the finish line. We still, as a planning commission, have to vote on it at the end as well, make sure that we are agree to it. So there's still a few more steps in the process, but we kind of can see it, the finish on the horizon. So a few more things to do though before we get there. But the next, we'll be looking to see if we can identify a time to have the public hearing, and that will be one that we would have to have in the, likely in the auditorium. And that's when the public will look at the final, not the final draft, I guess, or for the final feedback.
So
Any questions on that? I know there's a bit there.
as you pointed out, what's on April, on the 22nd is a public workshop. What's
Yeah.
on September, whenever, is a public hearing.
That will be,
Is there a fundamental difference between those? I mean, at a hearing, I guess everybody comes up and gets their comments recorded at the microphone?
yeah, they can do that, and that's where we may have to push that hearing sooner, especially if we're already ready. We may need to push that in August. If we have it in September, we only have one more regular planning commission meeting after that.
Yep.
That's scheduled right now, so we have to consider that. So, yeah, there's a bit for us to do yet, but we're getting there. We're actually making very good progress, and we're staying on time, which is good. And what else? Yeah, I think I covered all those aspects of it. Any questions on any of that with the timeline? Is that clear? Any other questions? Okay, that's great. All right. The other thing that if we can do it, we still may look to do at the affordable housing plan. And I've always emphasized that is not the primary objective. But it happens to align with the fact that we have a housing chapter within the plan of conservation and development. And if we can piggyback off of that and also accomplish the affordable housing plan update, we can do that. But we don't want to in any way risk the completion of the POCD in the process,
I was going to say though, if we do decide to go through with that section of it, would it exclusively be related to affordable housing, like in terms of like housing that would receive subsidy of some kind, or is it
So,
housing and how to make housing more broadly?
yeah,
more
I
affordable?
think we'll have some of those discussions. We'll schedule a time with the consultant who is also involved in that, and just go through that timeline. I've talked with them. I think after we conduct, and perhaps the May meeting, we'll look to see if we can have some further discussion on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course, we have an existing affordable housing plan.
Mhm.
So, yeah, if you're not familiar with some of those details, you know.
Yeah, I know there's the one
Yeah.
that the state requires every municipality.
That's what we're referring to.
Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if this was sort of like a supplement to that.
No, it's really taking advantage of the fact that we're going through this process for housing with the POCD, and if we can piggyback off of that. That's what it is. Because it's actually not due until 2027. So again, if we can do it, great. If not, then that's, you know, we could always pick it back up, or the combined planning and zoning can do that.
Mhm.
So,
I have one quick question. Chapter 10, I mean, it looks like it just got started.
there's another version that's online.
So there is a version
Yeah,
of
yeah, that should be, I believe was sent to you. Yeah, if not, then we can resend that.
I didn't remember seeing that, that's why I
Yeah.
asked, because I was really,
There is another.
I was really curious as to what that's gonna be.
Yep.
That seems to be.
And that's, so that's, I think that's sustainability that you're referring to, right?
Well, it's called, Future Land Use Plan and Implementation.
Oh, that one, I'm sorry, that's different. Oh, sorry, I thought you were referring to the sustainability. That is when, it's, if you look at the existing plan of conservation and development,
There's
it's taken a lot of those
stuff
goals
at
and
the end of each
objectives
chapter, yeah.
and summarizing them. It's sort of like, this is everything, this is the plan to go forward. So that's another piece that we've got to review, and also, the vision that we talked about the last.
Okay, so the vision's
Yeah.
still open for comments?
Yes.
The vision statement? the
Yes, it
two-page
is.
Vision statement, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be touching on that this coming week as a POCD core committee. All right, I think I've covered everything there. Did I overlook anything? No? Okay. We can move forward then. We do have on here the minutes from the other commissions. I don't know if anybody had to look at any of those, if there's anything that they feel is relevant to planning or otherwise that they wish to bring up and discuss.
I think that I saw that stood out to me specifically.
Okay. I know this used to be sort of a deeper dive into some of this, but we don't have to comment on any of this if we don't wish to.
Some of it, there was something in there interesting about locked bedrooms.
On what?
They went into this house, it was the locked bedrooms. It was a cease and desist.
Okay.
Like a
There it is,
walk
at
on
one
the outside.
54 Long Meadow Hill. Inspection with land use developer, Barkowski. Locks have been removed from all bedroom doors.
Were they on like the outside of the doors or something?
I don't know.
Because that would be,
It's the zoning enforcement went out there, so.
It's pretty interesting. yeah.
these like, most houses have locks in the bedrooms on the inside, but if it was on the outside, I could see why that would be alarming.
Well, it must have been alarming for them
Yeah.
to cease and desist, but when I see things interesting, I'm like, okay, what is that about? So,
Yeah, I can't speak.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't, you know. I'll give you a second if you want to review it, if you want to bring anything up. We have time.
I looked at most of these and I sort of saw what they were doing, but the work pollution control authority, I guess it's an authority or agency.
Yeah.
Is that something that we would ever want to or be curious about their activities?
They're a town board, I think their members are also appointed by the Board of Selectmen. But,
I mean, I don't know who had chosen these particular boards as being a potential.
They, actually, kind of inherited some of this, even this piece of, the agenda. I think really the objective originally was just to see if there's any business going on in these, commissions that may come to planning, or maybe it's something that already went through planning and now has gone on to the other boards, and just see and review it for that purpose. Yeah, but, I think, what did I think at one point we had added some others to this, but really it's, we don't have to go too deep into it, unless somebody wants to. If we have a more loaded agenda, we might, skip by it if we needed to. Anything, anybody else wants to bring up, from any of this? I don't know if there's anything that directly pertains to the plan. If not, we can move on. Anything anybody wants to bring up for informal discussion?
did you get a chance to look at that email that we received from, I think, Greg Dembowski about that value capture study that Westcog was conducting? It looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, why don't you describe it, if you don't mind?
Yeah, it was about like how to create, better infrastructure for transportation using value capture methods and transit-oriented development. I think they focused primarily on rail.
Mm-hmm.
And Brookfield was part of the study area. And I'd love to learn more about it. I had a chance to look through some aspects of the study, and there were like certain pages that I wanted to read sooner than others, but I thought it was pretty interesting, and I definitely recommend checking it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got the email like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was I only got to skim it, what was the conclusion at the end? How will that help Brookfield?
Well, it was mainly about if they wanted to extend passenger rail up from
Okay.
Brookfield to New
Yeah.
Milford, how it would be
Yeah.
funded, and they would use value capture and transit-oriented development
Mm-hmm.
to fund it, rather than having to rely on, bonding out the operational costs, which is the way transit is mainly funded now in the US.
Right.
Mhm.
So the value capture would be in future construction or current construction that might be within X radius of a rail station, is that
Yeah, it's more like,
in principle how it works?
yeah, exactly, so like since, if you build up infrastructure around, or if you build up housing around, and not just housing, but also businesses around where a rail station would be, or any public transit for that matter, you create consistent ridership just by having, a population that would use it because it's there, and they moved there because it's there. So, it's an interesting study, and definitely recommend, I'm gonna finish reading it this weekend, but.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, if there's anything that you think, anything that might be useful for the PUCD.
Oh, definitely, I think that there's, there are definitely aspects of it, because, again, that's something that it would take many years for anything like that to come to fruition
Yeah.
here, but it's, I think, the point of, the POCD is, to look at it from a long-term planning perspective, so I think we need to keep it in there and keep the conversation going with that.
Related to that, I think there was an article in the News Times about the DOT and the I-84 project, they're still talking about that.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I think it was a couple of years ago, we sent a letter
Yeah,
to the
you were-
DOT
you remember that, yeah.
on that, and my concerns about that Super 7 merge
Right.
into 84 going westbound. It relates to that, they brought up the same concept in that newspaper article just this weekend that they had brought up a couple years ago
Yeah.
with the dynamic lanes.
Yeah.
You know, having that, what might be like almost a breakdown lane, be a regular lane during
Rush shoulder,
rush
yeah.
hour, yeah,
Mhm.
rush hour.
Did they say anything about implementing like a traffic signal to enter the highway, or is that not something? Because I know
I
in
didn't
some,
see
in
that.
some states they do that. I know
Yeah.
in like, I think in the LA area, and then
Mhm.
also I think Minnesota they do that.
I don't think that's an issue for where the merge takes place, because everything's creeping and crawling.
No, I meant like when you're coming
Yeah.
south on 7, like to enter 84.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because part of the issue is, 84 slows down because everyone going south is trying to enter 84, so it
Yeah.
creates a bottleneck there. But if in some places they have traffic lights
Mhm.
and the cars have to
Yeah.
wait like 10 seconds just to
Yeah.
create better flow, but I'm just not sure if that's something
Yeah,
you're considering or not.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that, and part of the issue with that merge is not just that it's merging into 84, but before you get to that, it's a 2-lane highway that's filled into one. And then you have another on-ramp from
Right, coming
from Federal
Mhm.
Road
Yeah.
that's also merging.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
all that's taking place even before you get to 84.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, to
Mhm.
create, like before, so that when cars are entering, it doesn't,
Yeah.
not everyone tries to enter at once, it creates
Yes.
better flow. But I'm just not sure if that's something they were looking at or not.
I don't think so, because if it does go, if you're on 84 and there's
Right.
the exit 7 going northbound, right? That whole lane goes, and then it's a 2-lane until then you get the merge, and then the 3rd lane is created. You know, from Super 7 southbound. And then at that point, or maybe even before, is where they might have that shoulder then become that dynamic lane, which might assist with some of that merging. You've got still a lot of traffic,
So it would only be
Into
open
that
during
point.
rush hour?
in one direction. So
Okay.
then, in the morning, it would be the opposite lane
Mhm.
that might have, no, sorry, that would be in the morning time, and then in the evening time, it would be the opposite way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, out of curiosity though, like, since that would effectively, they lose a lane during rush hour, what would happen if there was an accident and they had to get?
Well, those are the
emergency?
things that they've been working through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the point is, that was in the newspaper almost as if it was like this new concept, that I was like, they discussed that a couple of years ago, so I guess,
Yeah.
things move slow in DOT, I guess.
Mhm.
Anyway, please, tell all your friends and neighbors to go to this workshop. It is a workshop on the 22nd in the cafeteria. It's gonna be a little different, than the cafeteria, a little different format.
Mhm.
But it should be an interesting experience to go through. I'm curious to see how many people come out. I think, I don't know, do you guys get the sense? My sense is word is spreading. I think we're gonna get a decent crowd at this. You guys sensing that as well, or,
I have no idea.
yeah?
I don't know,
Hard to tell, I guess.
hard to tell.
Yeah,
Depends on what's going on that night, if it's raining.
It's
true.
You know,
yeah. Didn't
Soccer.
we have like, when the first
Soccer
workshop,
practice.
wasn't that the first rainy night we had
Oh, it
in
was
like a
awful.
month
It
or
was
something?
pretty
that was
bad.
terrible,
Yeah,
downpour.
yeah. So you never know. But anyway, there's plenty of opportunity, and we encourage all feedback now. We'd rather have it now, don't hold back. I hope the town will look at Brookfield POCD, start reading this very interesting material we put together, and start commenting on it. So that's all I have. All good?
Yep.
I think you're on.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.